Street Assembly Point, which is at St John's Churchyard off Druid Street. Council security staff will be available to direct you. The public toilets are located right by the main reception to your right as you enter the building. This is a no smoking building. Please ensure you do not smoke on the premises. Please can you take a moment to switch your mobile phones off, or at least switch them to silent. Members of the subcommittee will not access the internet, and members too. Send or receive emails, text messages or tweets concerning the business of the subcommittee. We do have Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi, and the access code is 2018 ! I'd ask you please to be considerate towards other people in the room and take care not to disturb the proceedings, especially yelling out from the floor. It doesn't help. Please speak through the chair. I have not received any apologies. We have what one? Oh yes, it's Councillor Soames, who is the chair, and Councillor Merrill as well. Are there any apologies for absence or lateness from this meeting? We're okay? Okay, confirmation of voting members. Please will the voting members of the committee indicate by raising their hand. Thank you. Okay. Councillor Hargrave is here as a reserve for Councillor Merrill, who is the regular member of this panel. Disclosure of members' interests and dispensations. Does any member wish to declare any interest or dispensation in respect of any item or issue to be considered at this meeting? All good? Thank you. The following additional documents were circulated prior to the meeting. We have the addendum report and the members' pack, which I hope you've all got copies of, yeah? Okay. Firstly, can we please approve the minutes of the subcommittee meeting held on the 30th of October 2018 as a correct record? Thank you. I'll now explain how this meeting is going to proceed. The next item is the determination of development management planning applications. Before we proceed to the business, I will outline the guidance on the conduct of business. We will firstly hear from the officer, who will present the report, outline the recommendations, and answer questions or clarify any issues raised by the members of the subcommittee. Any representatives present that wish to speak can address the subcommittee for 3 minutes, which will be taken in the following order. One spokesperson representing any objectors to the application. By now you need to have identified a single spokesperson. If more than one objector wishes to speak, the time will be divided accordingly within the 3-minute slot. Followed by one spokesperson representing any supporters of the application who live within 100 metres of the development site. Then followed by a ward councillor representing those affected by the proposed development. Each speaker should restrict their comments to the planning aspects of the proposal and should avoid repeating information which is already in the report. At the end of each representation, the subcommittee may ask questions of the presenter. If you feel you have not covered all of the points, feel free to invite the members to ask you questions, and I'm sure they'll pick up on that. After receiving all submissions, the subcommittee will debate the application and consider the recommendation. This is a council subcommittee meeting which is open to the public. There should be no interruptions from the audience. Finally, the planning subcommittee comprises of members from different political parties, and these are not politically whipped. The decisions we make today are in accordance with the council's planning policy and based on information contained in the relevant reports and the addendum report. Legal advice would be that only councillors from the ward where the site is located can speak in this capacity. Any other councillor wishing to speak, and not from the ward where the site is located, can speak as an objector. The first item on the agenda is Castle Square and Elephant Road, London, SE16TW, application 18 AP2108, pages 10 to 41 of the main agenda and on the addendum report. I'd now like to invite the officer to present the report, please.
Thank you, Chair. This item relates to an area of public realm which is located to the east of the Elephant and Castle shopping centre, behind the railway viaduct. The Elephant One development is to the north of the site, which comprises commercial uses, residential and student housing. The new Elephant Park is to the east. The Lost Rivers Bar and Event Space is to the south. And Elephant Road and the railway viaduct are to the west. In July this year, the Council's Planning Committee resolved to grant permission for a comprehensive redevelopment of the Elephant and Castle Shopping Centre and London College of Communications sites, the locations of which are shown on image 5 of the member pack. The shopping centre site is identified as the east site. The redevelopment proposal would involve demolition of the existing shopping centre and provision of a new one in its place, together with a range of other uses, and a Section 106 agreement is near completion, which will secure a number of measures to support the affected traders. One of the measures required under the Section 106 agreement is a temporary retail facility on Castle Square, which must have planning permission before the Section 106 for the main development can be completed. And it is this proposal for the temporary retail space which members are now being asked to consider. The proposed retail facility would be 2 to 3 stories high and would provide 517 square metres of floor space. The structure would be completed prior to the closure of the shopping centre, and permission is sought for a period of 5 years to coincide with the projected build period for the main site. It will be constructed of modular units clad with timber and could accommodate up to 32 businesses. The units will be flexible, however, and their size could be altered depending on the needs of the businesses which would occupy them. Full details are provided at paragraphs 4 to 9 of the officer report, and floor plans and elevations are included in the member pack. 2 rounds of consultation have been undertaken on the application, the first of which resulted in 101 objections, plus objections from Latin Elephant and the Shopping Centre Traders Association, and reconsultation following the receipt of further information and revisions to the plans resulted in a further 48 objections and concerns from Latin Elephant. Details of the objections are set out in paragraphs 26 to 29 of the officer report and in the addendum report. And the bulk of the objections relate to the size and design of the facility, which should be large enough for all affected traders in consultation with the trader panel, lack of information on eligibility criteria, lack of information on rent levels, service charges and tenancy agreements, extended hours of trade required, and lack of disabled access. Concerns have also been raised that a relocation fund secured under the Section 106 for the main development would not be sufficient and should be increased, but this has been agreed by the Planning Committee and is not in place. Taking each of the main objections in turn, regarding the size and design of the facility, Castle Square provides a connection from the railway station to Elephant Park and to residential accommodation beyond. It needs to continue to function as a piece of public realm, and the layout of the building in the square has been designed to allow for this. The height of the structure would be acceptable in this location and would not cause any loss of amenity to neighbouring occupiers. The proposal is considered to be of a high standard of design which should animate and activate the street and the square, and a condition for material samples is recommended to ensure that the high quality finish shown on the plans will be translated to the finished structure. It's never been the intention or a requirement that the facility must be large enough to accommodate all of the independent traders in the main shopping centre site. Indeed, it would need to be 8 times bigger than shown on the current plans if it was to accommodate all the existing traders. Other relocation options include affordable retail space at Elephant One, Peronet House and Elephant Park, and these are shown on a map which we're going to put up on screen now, which shows alternative locations, and you also have a hard copy of that separate to the main member pack. Tree Shepherd, which is an independent business advisor which has been appointed as part of the main shopping centre redevelopment to support existing traders, carried out consultation on relocation options in October this year, and although the rent levels were not known at that time, 16 of the 54 businesses which responded to the consultation selected Castle Square as their first choice, 13 selected it as their second choice, and 8 selected it as their third choice, indicating that not all of the affected traders necessarily want to relocate to temporary retail space in Castle Square. Moreover, as part of the planning application for the main redevelopment, a database of available retail space within the opportunity area is being compiled, and at the moment it shows that there are 38 units available within a mile radius of the shopping centre site. The applicant has carried out its own consultation with traders, and 6 meetings were held between February and August this year, which were attended by 77 traders in total, and where the initial layout and designs for Castle Square were shared. Feedback was requested at the meetings in February, March and June, and 2 verbal comments were made regarding signage for the units and whether the proposed windows positions were fixed. Officers have carried out 2 rounds of consultation on the planning application and have sought to address the concerns that have been raised. With regard to concerns about eligibility criteria, the proposed units would be available in the first instance to all independently owned retail businesses, traders, kiosk holders, restaurants and market stall holders within the main shopping centre site, which do not trade from more than 3 locations, which lawfully hold a lease or licence, and which were in occupation at the site on the 3rd of July when the Planning Committee resolved to grant permission for the main redevelopment, and which remain at the site at the date at which the main permission is granted. Only if the units are not required by shopping centre traders could they be let to other businesses, and this is set out in paragraphs 33 to 34 of the officer report and will be secured in a legal agreement. Regarding concerns about lack of information on rent levels, these are set out in paragraphs 39 to 44 of the officer report. Traders currently occupying smaller units in the shopping centre on longer term leases pay on average £65 per square foot, and all of the units in Castle Square would cost less than this. Rents in the first year would be 25% lower than for years 2 to 5 to allow businesses time to establish themselves in a new location, and rents at years 2 to 5 would be £37.50 per square foot on the ground floor, £30 per square foot on the first floor, and £50 per square foot on the second floor, which would include a terrace. Compared to what the traders currently pay now at the shopping centre, this equates to a 45%, 56% and 27% discount respectively for the different floor levels averaged over 5 years. Although not directly relevant to this application, this would compare well with the Elephant and Castle supplementary planning document, which requires affordable retail space to be averaged at a 40% discount averaged over 5 years. Service charges for the development would be calculated in accordance with RICS guidance, and the applicant has indicated that this would likely be around £7 to £8 per square foot compared to £11.28 currently paid at the shopping centre. Regarding leases, businesses occupying the units as soon as they were ready would either be granted 5-year leases or a lease covering the period from the start from occupation until affordable retail units on the main shopping centre site were ready for occupation, whichever is longest. And the rent levels, service charge calculation and lease terms would be secured in a legal agreement. Regarding hours of operation, these were given in the planning application as 6 AM to 5 PM Monday to Saturday, but following concerns from traders that they would be too short, officers have recommended no hours restrictions for A1 and A2 uses, that's retail and financial and professional, and have recommended hours of 7 AM to 11:30 PM Monday to Saturday and 7 AM to 10 PM on Sundays and bank holidays for cafes, restaurants, drinking establishments and takeaways. The Section 106 agreement would require the businesses to be allowed to open during these hours should they wish to do so. In order to address concerns regarding lack of disabled access, the plans have been amended to include 2 lifts so that all floors of the building would be accessible to those with mobility issues and using pushchairs, etc. A condition has been included in the draft recommendation requiring lifts to be operational prior to the building, prior to occupation of the building and maintained as such thereafter. Overall, this is considered to be a high quality development which would add to the package of support available to the affected traders, and it's recommended that temporary planning permission be granted subject to conditions and completion of the Section 106 agreement.
Thanks, Vicky. Any questions for the officer from members? Yep. Nick?
Do we have any indication how relative rents in areas other than Castle Square would compare? We talked about quite substantial discounts for Castle Square. If traders were not able to get into Castle Square and ended up somewhere else, do we know roughly what they would be paying?
The rents we have for Castle Square are compared against those in the shopping centre, and we are confident that for the businesses that occupy units of a similar type of size within the shopping centre. Almost entirely they would be paying a lower rent within Castle Square. So your question relates to other sites. They would be comparable to rents that we would be securing at Paranet House, where the garages at Paranet House are being also converted into retail space. Outside of that, the sort of the rents around the Walworth Road area tend to be upwards of £40 a square foot. Those are for much larger units typically, and typically larger units will command a slightly lower rent per square foot because of the efficiencies and use of retail space.
So just to be clear then, would there be a discount on rental for anybody moving into a non-Castle Square location or not?
There are, of the locations shown on the map, Paranet House would be at a similarly discounted rent. Elephant One will also be at discounted rents, which are set in a Section 106 agreement dating back several years. In the units available in Elephant Park that were also secured in the 106 agreement there, they're currently being marketed and offers are being made on those through Lend-Lease, but they also provide discounted rents under a Section 106 agreement. So those are the units in the area that provide discounted rents. Outside of that, any commercial units that are available through the relocation database, they would be available on the open market. So they would obviously not be under our control or under the applicant's control. But for those that are under our control as in the council, which would be Paranet House, and under the applicant's control, which would be Castle Square and Elephant One, there would be discounted rents offered.
Can I just ask about rents as well? We're looking at 5-year lease, so hopefully that's the build time for the shopping centre. But you've said that if it goes over the 5 years, the lease will be extended. Would there be a rent review at 5 years?
No, there wouldn't.
Yeah, my question is about number of units there and accommodation for them. You said that there probably need to be 8 times bigger to accommodate all the traders there. What impact does that have on traders that are not able to find accommodation?
Well, there's a limit to what can be provided on Castle Square. It needs to keep functioning as a piece of public realm and allowing routes through the site. So this was only ever intended to be one option out of a package of measures, and that package of measures includes a relocation fund, a relocation database, business support from Tree Shepherd, and the council has been developing its own scheme at Paranet House, which offers another affordable option. There's the affordable retail space at Elephant One, and there's affordable retail space coming through in Elephant Park. So this is one of a number of measures. It's not expected to be the only thing, so it wouldn't be large enough for everybody, but that wouldn't be possible on a site of this size.
Just, I'll give a supplemental to Barry. Given all of the different sites, Paranet, Elephant One, all the rest of it, does that cover, are there enough sites for all of the current number of traders? If you take it across all of the sites, I realise they can't all go on Castle Square. How many short would we be, roughly?
So, looking at the numbers of businesses currently within the shopping centre and within the market as well, we think we're looking at around 80 businesses. 83 is the number we're working to at the moment. So obviously, some of the numbers we might have on the market might be slightly out of date to that, so they may be slightly lower. Of those, so we have 12 at Paranet House, we have 8 at Elephant One, we have up to 32. So that gets us into the 40 to 50 range of units that are under direct control of the council or the applicant here. Then we also have another 38 currently within the relocation database. And there are also options for market stall holders at East Street, where there's scope for additional pitches at East Street. So across the piece, there should be sufficient.
The answer was yes, I think. Thank you. Any more questions? Go on, Nick.
I noticed that one of the issues that a lot of traders were concerned about was that there is a cut-off line at 5 years, or ultimately whenever the new shopping centre is finished, and that there was a desire to have extended leases so that they bridged over into whatever the new property they ended up permanently being in was. What was the rationale behind not offering that?
So the leases on Castle Square are necessarily temporary. I think the desire was potentially to roll them over into the later shopping centre development, where there are affordable retail spaces secured there, so 10% of affordable retail secured in the shopping centre. We don't believe that's feasible for two main reasons. One is obviously they're different sites, and there'll be different types of units, and there'll be different leases effectively. The second is that there will be an application process for businesses from the shopping centre that want to reapply to go back into the new development. If we were to effectively reserve space for tenants that moved into Castle Square, that would be preempting that process. So that would make it impossible to just roll those leases directly over.
Thanks, Nick. Okay, does anyone present wish to speak in objection to the application? From the audience?
Yes.
Okay. Are you together with each other?
We're a group of 4, but we've got 3 who will be speaking, and we'll divide our time 1 minute each.
That's fine. Bring some chairs forward so you've all, we've only got 2 up there. Great, thank you for coming. To turn the microphone on, the button is the right-hand one. Yep, if you can turn yours off while mine's on, and we'll flip between each other. What I'd like you to do is introduce yourselves so we know who you are, and also if you have a role or anything within the Elephant that you want us to know about. And once you've finished introducing yourself, you'll be given 3 minutes to speak between yourselves. As I said, at the end, if you feel there's anything you haven't been able to cover, don't hesitate to invite the councillors, the members, to ask you questions on that. Okay, so if you want to go ahead and introduce yourselves, please.
My name is Santiago Pelufo. I'm a project officer for Latin Elephant, representing the traders.
I'm Matteo Quintero, and I'm speaking on behalf of D. Strandina UK Limited in 6 Farrow Court on Elephant Road.
Good evening, I'm Natalia Perez. I'm also a project officer for Latin Elephant, also speaking on behalf of the Latin American and migrant and ethnic community.
My name is Imad Miguel. I run one of the shops inside the shopping centre, and I'm the head of the Trader Association.